All right. So everybody's live. Let's get verification from. Welcome back to another edition of Boundaries and Brotherhood with the Carrie and Gordon Show. We're going to be talking about a lot of different things tonight and today or tonight, whatever you want to say. But today's topic is going to be the topic. Well, the title of the thing is going to be, I got it right here, right? Breaking the cycle of emotional sabotage, moving from self-criticism to self-leadership. As you can tell from last week's show, we had a very good interest of it and went really, really deep. So today, Miss Pullaro and I is going to be talking about the specific triggers that lead to an internal sabotage. In fact, her post right here was so deep that it was so good that my AI agent picked it all up and did everything else for it.
Are you talking about today's post?
It was so good because a lot of the times you trigger a lot of different things in your life. And while I get it up all set up, Miss Carrie, reintroduce yourself. Let us know what you're going to be talking about, because I'm going to leave you this quote. The woman who is emotionally reactive is the woman who will never have the body she wants. And it has to match the inside. And if you like that, let me know in the comments. All right, Carrie, take it away while I get us all set up technically.
All right. I'm Carrie Pullaro. I am, oh my God. I think
she's a physical and identity coach for all
types of stuff. We cover self-worth, identity, health, fitness, all the things, all encompassed in the whole woman method. And this is where women come to become emotionally regulated, mentally empowered, physically strong, and deeply confident in who they are. And today, Gordon wants to talk about a post I made. Oh, yeah. This one. Oh, listen, I'm going to get a lot of pushback from this. I already know.
That's all right.
So this post kind of came from like my own personal experience. I remember I had a mentor tell me, because I used to come up with all kinds of amazing excuses as to why I couldn't have certain things. And so he had a quote by Carl Jung that he would use with me all the time. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will rule your life and you will call it fate. And I got to sit with that for a minute because I was thinking, I'm like, oh, like I live in this delusion that, and because I'm reacting to life. And I think that I've got the relationship or the career or like all the family circumstances, like I'm choosing them. Or not that I'm choosing them, like they're happening, but I really am on a default mode choosing them based on old patterns that I have. You know what I mean? And so I'm reacting to life rather than pausing to respond, like pausing and thinking of what do I want to create? I just react. And because I react, I'm not getting what I want because I'm just reacting to the circumstances constantly. That doesn't support at all. So for me, that never worked when it came to my body because I would just react to what I saw in the mirror and I would talk shit to myself. But there was a pattern back in the day that did help me when I would push myself. And if somebody were, and I don't want to use the word criticize, but if somebody said something to me that gave me a little push or a little nudge that I could do better, like suggested that I could do better, I would jump all over it, right? Because I really wanted to do better. However, I've taken that on, right? And then I would stand in the mirror and talk shit to myself. That doesn't work anymore. Like you don't respond to self beat up or positively. You don't respond positively to self beat up.
Yeah, because you're basically beating yourself up all for nothing because you're reacting off of something that was in your past. Now, even for myself, what I've done is I've stopped reacting to, say, me being a parent with my 2 toddlers and everything else. I stopped reacting in a way where my anger gets the best of me, because if not, I just lose my shit, basically, right? Because a lot of times your emotions might be running the show, the anger, the anxiety, depression, everything else. And it carries over to even like, say, your dating life, your emotional, your relationships, all this other stuff. Because 100%. Let me ask you this question, right? How do you identify specific triggers so you don't go down that path? Because every situation could be different, right? Because you might be telling yourself, oh, I'm just sensitive, making excuses. I feel deeply. I'm intuitive, all this bullshit, right? But what are some of the triggers before you get to that? Because if it's running the show, you'll never have emotional intelligence or the control that you're looking for. And that raises red flags for a lot of different things.
For me, it has been being in touch with my body enough to know that when I feel that shot, of energy that shoots through my body when I'm
Big,
triggered. It's,
big.
oh, we don't need to react right now. Let's just pause for a moment. Practice the pause. I think that
Yep.
my mentor's husband gave me that one day. He was like, you know what, Carrie, you know what part of your problem is like, you just like, boom, like you react like million miles an hour, like right then. But if you just practice the pause, your life would be so much better. And I was like, the hell are you talking about?
Oh, yeah.
And I started, like, his voice would echo in my head anytime like something wild would happen. And I'm like, practice the pause. Don't respond. Don't open your mouth. That's all the things I kept thinking in like real time. I would be like, don't open your mouth right now. Because I had to, when I react on adrenaline or like some kind of wild energy going through my body, the chances are I'm not going to respond in the best way possible.
Correct.
Right?
I was just about to say.
Just like I shut off everything in my brain that could potentially support me in responding in an adult way. It does not happen.
Right.
And so that really allowed me to take a step back. And then I started to realize, I'm like, oh, okay, so what is it that's flowing through my body? And what is the sensations that I'm feeling in my body? And then what am I, because I'm giving it an interpretation. And what is the interpretation that I'm assigning to the sensation that's coming up?
Beautiful. I mean, basically because you're identifying everything that's come up. And for the young you used to just react, be this go-getter, she's shaking her head.
The wild child. Yes.
Yeah, but a lot of people just react because they don't have that emotional equivalence of doing the pause, walking away, just realizing certain things. Do you think that comes with age, wisdom, or just going through the shit?
I think it's all of it because, you know, the things that I'm sure triggered me 20 years ago don't trigger me today.
Give a fuck.
Yeah, you know, it's just like, and when I was younger, I felt I had this absolute like need to be right all the time. And so if
That's big.
you triggered me in any kind of way or said something that I felt was out of line, like I needed to make sure you knew. And I think so there's a lot of difference there. So I think it comes with age, it comes with wisdom, but it also comes with practice.
Oh, that's big.
Yeah.
What kind of triggers have you caught yourself most recently that you've changed? I know you got some. I can tell from your post what's happening.
Yeah. So, oh yes, Gordon.
Oh, you said, oh yes, guys, be prepared.
I think one of the conversations that comes up a lot for me is around people just want to have this amazing body and be in great shape, but they don't want to do anything about it. And that for me, like even now when I just said it out loud, I was like, ooh, I felt a little, because for me, I've had to work so hard in order to get the physique that I want because, and it's all been through mindset work. I didn't just wake up and I went through a whole, like a lot of hellacious shit in order to get to that place where I was like, okay, I'm tired of putting my body through like this punishment all the time. I hated exercise. I didn't want to do it, but I loved the result. And so it was really got to like shift the way that I thought about exercise and change my entire lifestyle. It was all around mindset.
But that's big because I mean, if you don't know, if Miss Carrie Pullaro, she's an identity coach. She's a health and wellness trainer. She works out in the gym. She puts in all the work that she has to do because you know what type of discipline it takes. But the result versus the work you have to put in, and on top of that, she lost about 80 pounds, right, to get to this presence, right? The discipline that has to go to, does it mess with your head sometimes? And how does it relate to your relationships in the real world, right?
Because I had absolutely zero self-control when it came to food because it always gave me an instant gratification. Just think about sugar. Like, oh my God, I love sugar. But when I eat, if I were to have a piece of sugar or a piece of candy or a Snickers bar, like I don't want to stop there. So I used to have this thing with jelly beans. It sounds so wild. So I would buy a bag of jelly beans and I would always have this bag of jelly beans in my house. But the problem became where I couldn't just eat like a couple of jelly beans. Like I would sit and eat the whole bag and I would never stop. I'd eat the entire bag. And halfway through the bag, you know, when you eat so much sugar and you start to feel sick and you're like, oh, I'm going to throw up, I would have that feeling and I would still keep doing it anyway.
Oh, wow.
It was
Was
this,
that
it was,
almost like a sugar addiction at one point?
couldn't stop until it was done. Like I
The
had to
whole
finish
bag?
with that. The whole bag had to be done.
No,
And I
that was
would
your
make
thing, huh?
myself sick. That was my thing. And I would tell myself like I deserve to have this candy, but it was also like I didn't know how to turn it off. I didn't know how to shut it off.
So let me ask you this now. In one of your posts, or one of the questions I have from like going on, you're stuck because you're inconsistent for a lot of things, right? And you're stuck because your mind is still at war with your body. And then it just translates into how you think, how you move, how you treat other people. You can do all the right things if you're stressed, rushing, and talking to yourself like crap, and your body will hold on to it because your nervous system kind of like sees what it's all doing. Do you need more discipline, or is that just part of the journey?
Well, I think discipline is part of the journey, but it really is getting to the root of like what's underneath it. Like, what am I trying to hide from?
No, good answer. Beautiful
What am I
answer.
trying to hide from? It's like, that's really what it is. It's like, I'm carrying something that I don't want to let go of.
What kind of exercise mentally could you provide that has helped you in case somebody that might be going through this type of crap? Because a lot of it, Andrew's going through it right now. In fact, the thing that with the sugar thing going on, I have to cut down my sugar intake because of all my testing I'm doing, right?
Yeah.
I got testing on the liver, testing on the heart, testing on the stuff, and it all come down to what I like: cookies.
Those are your jelly beans.
Those are my jelly beans, as I said. But I only like cook. I just like sweet stuff. So now I have to kind of like get it under control, and it's going to take discipline, because at the same time, what am I teaching my kids? Even though they're chunky monkeys, right? But I can't help it because they're enjoying their life. What would you say is the gap between thought and action going into that?
Is the pause. The thing too is, and if I think about my whole life in general, when I think about like drugs, alcohol, like, oh my God, like I think my first addiction was to more of anything.
Ooh.
If I look back in my life and be like, wow, I've always had this addictive personality and this addictive behavior. And so where did it come from? It's because I'm unhappy, but I'm trying to hide all the stuff that I'm carrying. And for whatever reason, I keep thinking that more is better. So I'll have more of anything.
Of course.
Hence the jelly beans. You know?
Right.
I'll make myself sick, and I'll remember how sick I was. And the next day I'll do the same shit again.
Would you do that? Would you do that with drugs and alcohol? The same way, the same reason, the same motion, the same behavior, right?
100%. Yeah. It's the same exact behavior. It's just a different item. That's it.
So let's compare stories. Where do you think your lack of drew you to that? Then I'll tell you mine, because it took me a long time to figure this out.
My lack,
like why you went to that? Where have you stemmed down? How big? Because from your post, and I know you personally, how deep you go with everything. Mm-hmm. Did you dig deep on where it stemmed from, and have you resolved that?
Yeah, I think I just wanted to feel better about myself, and so I went back and yes, you're right. We did go deep. I got to go back and look at some like life events that occurred. And when I went back, because a lot of times, like I'll go back and I'll look at the big life events that happened in my life that were impactful. And then I forget also that after I address some of those things, there's always another layer. Like it can go 100%. Way deeper. When I started to dig deep in like what it was, why I wanted to feel good, or why I wanted to feel validated in some way, it all went back to my parents getting divorced. I was 6.
Okay, 6.
Yeah. And so that was like a really impactful day. I remember that. But because I interpreted their divorce as, oh my God, my dad doesn't love me. He's unlovable. I'm unlovable. Right. So I always want to feel good. Or I always want to be validated, or like seek something outside of me to change the way that I feel inside, because inside I feel unlovable. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I get it.
But it goes even deeper than that, because that's the belief that I created when I was 6 years old. Like all the choices that I make after that reinforce that belief. So it's like, in a sense, I'm creating it. And if I don't see it, this is my default setting to always prove that belief right. Because remember, I'm addicted to being right too.
Of course. Why? I mean,
I
because
want to
you
be
want to be
right.
validated. Yeah.
Yeah. Even if my validation is that I'm a piece of shit. Do you know what I mean?
Okay. No,
Like,
no, I get it because you just wanted to be right. I
I just
completely
want to be
get that.
right. And so I will make all of these choices and be like, see, I'm not good enough. And so then it was like, well, if I can't be good enough, like, oh my God, all these external things maybe can make me feel better, that, sex, drugs, alcohol, sugar, whatever it is. But it would never
Because it's
change the way that
covering,
I felt on the inside.
yeah, because it's covering up all your flaws from where it stemmed from your belief from being that separated child and not being loved. Same like
Right.
me, same exact situation. The only thing mine was getting the attention I didn't get from say either family, right?
Mm.
Because
Hmm.
whether it was my Asian family or my other side family, then getting a stepdad getting thrown into the thing where I was getting abused and all this good stuff. And I already had anger issues because I already was angry because of the situation, like you just said, right?
Yeah.
When you dig deep into a lot of different things going on in your life and you try to go back to it, and I had a lot of time to reflect on it, even when I was in prison, sitting on racks, sitting in a cell, sitting in the hole, sitting in the shoes, sitting in anything else like that, you still don't know why because you don't have the tools to deal with that. And it reflects upon a lot of the stuff to either get more disciplined or you go back to the same crap you've done. And it just goes back to show that. And in the addictive personality that you have, I have the same exact curse, right? Because it's not that you want to be validated, you're seeking attention. It's just you didn't get it or you didn't get enough of it when you were young. And then you kind of like believe that I wasn't good enough. And
Hmm.
then until you go into your adulthood, until you figure that out, like the camaraderie, the friendships, the support group that you might have, that kind of like has a role in that.
Hmm.
Because when I get that from you, it's like that's why me and you get along because we can relate to so many different things in a sense that the identity work that you had to do has to reflect how you react on the outside at this day right now. Because if you didn't put in the work, Carrie, and I knew Carrie over 10 years ago, right? She was still a wild child.
Yeah.
When you look at the change, right? How can successfully reframing success, how are you dealing with that now? Knowing that you wasn't in a place where you were and you know how to
Hmm.
control it. How does that feel for you? And what kind of advice would you give?
As far as, say that one more time, because I heard it
You
a
know,
little different.
how can you shift your internal definition of the standard to help you move forward in your relationship, your self goals, because you just got out of a relationship. And like you
Hmm.
said, you did that because of the experience you have, and it's a success at
Yeah.
the same
100%.
time. All right.
Yes.
That was the question. Like, because of that, what is the standard driven by either self-respect, finding something more? Did because you want to be the person that you wanted advice from before.
Hmm.
What would you give some of your younger self?
Oh my gosh. Well, for one, I would say give yourself some grace. But I
Big,
think what, yeah, really big,
big.
because you don't get to like beat yourself up over, like, the past is the past and you can't change it. There's nothing that you can do, but you can learn from it.
Mm,
And everything is a valuable lesson. And so from that, I
everything.
can learn from my past behaviors. I can learn what works and what doesn't work. I can also learn about like looking at these significant life events that actually were so impactful that it caused me to believe that I didn't measure up or that I was inadequate in any way because everybody has value to offer. And so, what was
Mhm.
it that had me think that I wasn't valuable? I think that is one of the key things.
Big.
Going back and recognizing that, oh, it was just the meaning that I gave this event. That was it. And I'm the one that did it to myself.
I did.
I can't even be mad at anybody else. I can't be mad. I can't be upset. It's just like,
Right.
oh, like, and then it's taking that responsibility. And so from that, like, responsibility is my ability to respond. And so it's my responsibility to see what happened. And then I have the ability to respond differently today, not go back to the old behavior that, that had ruled my life for so long. Obviously I was not getting the results that I wanted.
Because basically now the way I said, you're outworking your shame and your trauma with the work that you're doing. You're physically and emotionally and internally outworking everything that's been given to you. Now, with all of that being said, what would be your top three that makes you outwork? You might have a different body now, you might have a different mindset, but you might be in the same prison versus your standards.
Yeah.
How do you get out of that? Or how do you relate to some of your clients? Like, if you're in this situation, give me a situation, basically the one that pops up, and how they came out of it, because it relates to you all the way.
Well, I think the first thing that I would say would be being radically honest with yourself, period. No matter what comes up, like, you get to be completely honest. So I'll use an example. I had a young lady reach out to me yesterday, and I was on the phone with her, and she was talking about, she was in a recovery program, and she's like, I don't think this program is for me anymore. And so I was just listening to her, and I said, so tell me what's going on in your life right now. And so she started to share with me how her grandmother passed away, who they were very close. Her grandmother passed away, families reaching out from of nowhere wanting money. And so as I'm listening, there's all of these events that are occurring. And the only thing I could think about and she was working with a mentor as well. And with her, she hadn't done any work with her mentor. And I was just like, oh, wow, it's so interesting how we'll go back to when uncomfortable things happen in our lives that we don't necessarily want to face, and we don't know how to react, and we're having all of these emotions and feels and stuff go through our body. We want to blame something. So we're going to blame this recovery program. Like, that's what she wanted to. And now all I want to do is go back to the old behavior that I know of, is where I just want to isolate from everybody, and I don't want to talk to anybody because I just want these feelings to go away. And, as we were chatting, and I'm like, it just sounds to me like you have a lot going on. There's a lot of emotions, a lot of feelings going through your body, and maybe you're not clear on how to interpret them. And so my suggestion would be, you just don't get to make a choice right now. Like, just keep doing the things that you're doing that are like, none of these things are broken. Everything's working. And all of a sudden you come out of nowhere and said, this thing is broken. It's this thing. And so it's interesting how immediately we will go, and we are so afraid sometimes to look at ourselves and go within and face that pain and grieve. And we'll go towards something, or we'll blame something outside of us. And that just puts us back in being a victim, right? Like, all of a sudden, all of our power is outside of us, and we think these outside circumstances are what's affecting us, but it's not. It's my ability to respond to the situation is what's affecting me. And so, when we ended the conversation, it basically was like, don't change anything. Like, you don't get to change anything. You just get to keep doing what's working. These things are working, keep them going, and let's regroup later. And a lot of times we don't see that. And so I was really grateful that she called me, because then she could have just gone off on a whim and made a wild decision on her own. I've done that before.
Oh, I was just about to say, because you've been in that position more times than over. And it's easy to, like I said, it's easy to deflect. It's easy to blame. It's easy to fall back into victimhood. It's easy to fall back into the patterns that you already knew, because that's the cycle of, like, say, going into that spiral if you don't know how to catch yourself. Because it's easy to go back to drinking. It's easy to go back to the drugs. It's easy to do that because it's easy to go back to prison. Honestly.
Yeah.
It's easy to go back into that lifestyle. But when you put in all that work, when you start balancing it all out, right? You got to understand that's how you break the cycle. The thing is, what's the action you take in the standard or the line that you don't want to cross to make it happen? Because if you don't have that straight discipline, well, basically that straight discipline to go right instead of, I got some of my friends, like, they want to play two sides. I'm a master at playing two sides or staying in the gray area. But at one point in time, you're going to have to make a hard decision to figure out that I don't want this anymore, because that's how you catch yourself from either going down that path ever again or opening that door just a crack, because that crack will fuck you up.
Absolutely. And this was just like, I felt like, oh my God, I felt so grateful that she reached out to me.
To you,
and
yes, perfect.
that I had that ability to I've known her for years. And so it was just kind of like,
well, yeah.
And so it's And she was open to suggestions, and she was being honest with herself. And when we started bringing it all out in the open, she was like, oh, I can see where I'm going. This is self-sabotage right here. This is the beginning.
Right.
And I can nip it right now and stay on the course, or I can start freaking going sideways. So I think it's our ability, like the number one thing for me would be being radically honest with myself. Like honesty on a whole nother level.
Well, it's
not just cash register honesty.
You know, you got to stop using, say, your body, your work ethic, you know what I mean, as a costume to whatever you got going on in the past. Because like one of your posts, like you could outwork everything, you could outtrain, you could do everything. But at the same time, you're still the same person inside.
Everywhere I go, there I am.
Yes, because like you said, like the longest and the most profound relationship you have, it's not with anybody else, it's with yourself.
Yep.
And that quote right there, how are you going to survive 5 years from now if you don't fix what's here now? You can keep on blaming, you can keep on deflecting, you can be doing all these things. How do you bridge the gap, Carrie, between fixing that?
So we look at, this is what I'm taking my clients through this week, is we're looking at these events.
I'm reading your mind, ain't I?
We are actually looking at these events, and we start small, right? Like I'm like, hey, you guys pick like 5 events. They don't have to be, and you can label them good or bad or whatever. It doesn't matter, but they were significant enough that you created some kind of meaning that's affecting you today. And so we look at the event and we look at only the facts. Like, I don't care about how you felt and all the backstory around it. None of that matters to me. I just want to look at the facts, and I want to look at the meaning that you created, because when I can take all of that emotion and all the bullshit backstory out of it, and they can just see, oh, like my parents got divorced and I made it mean like that I was unlovable and not good enough. And man, I really ran away with that. It had nothing to do with me. And then from there, we can go, okay, so like now that we know that this is just a bullshit story that we created, like now we can create something different. We can move forward from there. But until I see that, I don't know what's running the show in the background, because that whole not good enough story is running the show in the background.
Give me an example of something maybe one of your clients or whatever gave that situation. Give another one that people might be relating to on this live stream going on, so that they have a deep concept of it. Because you can explain it really well from that point of view. Then I'll kind of like do the cap up on it, because that kind of hit an interesting point, because whatever you did, whatever you're doing does reflect everything, and it affects everybody else around you as a community. Because at the same time, you're seeing it like it's black and white in your face real clearly. The person in it cannot explain the differences.
I had a client who her father passed away when she was in addiction. And so I don't believe that she ever had the opportunity to have any kind of, I don't think he had ever been able to see her where she is today. And so it was interesting because of that, the way that she would show up for men was she would show up and have to prove herself. And it came across very like better than, but it, in her mind, it was almost, she wanted to prove, she wanted to show, oh my God, like, look at all these things I've done. Like she was looking for the validation from the men to make up for the validation and the things that she didn't get from her father.
That is huge, because she didn't get no closure from it. So she's seeking that from every single man that she has a relationship with. And she's always also going to be challenging everything. That's going to be a wreck in the future if she doesn't have a cap on it.
Right. And it wasn't only that, it was just like, I have to be the successful one. I have to be the one that makes all the money. And so there was a lot of other control things going on too. So there were other factors that were in play here. But the main one that I saw was she just wanted her father's love so badly. And so now she projects that onto the men.
From a woman's point of view, do you think men will see that if they're getting into a relationship with her, or will it be a constant challenge? And how can she soften up in that sense, or accept that? Or does she have to find the right guy?
I think a healthy man is going to see that and be like, oh yeah, no. I'm not enrolled in this, because what will end up happening is I'm going to project all of that onto the guy that I'm dating, and I'm
Correct.
still not going to feel like I'm getting that love and that validation that I've always wanted from my dad. And because you can't meet that need, now I'm going to blow everything up, and I'm going to start blaming you and criticizing you because you aren't giving me what I think I need, which really is the very thing that I get to give myself.
But what you tell, say, a client like that, that might just be in that zone, how do you soften them up? Because that's a downward spiral itself.
Yeah.
Because if that person kind of soften up or accept certain things or change a little bit, it will
Mhm.
affect their relationship. It's a sidebar here, right? It's a
Yeah,
sidebar. Yeah.
and listen, I've had clients that aren't willing to even go there. They're like, I don't want to look
No
at it.
way.
And I have clients that are like, I see it plain as day right now. I want to go there.
Okay.
And it just, because it really involves a level of self forgiveness. And we're constantly forgiving ourselves, right? We're going to make mistakes every day. So I get to live in that space of like, I just get to be in this self forgiveness of like, no matter what I do, I just get to laugh and learn from it. That's the reality. That's like the life that I get to live.
Right,
But
right, right.
some
Not every
people like
day.
live in self beat up.
Oh, self beat up.
And the
That
self beat up
people,
is shame.
yeah.
So I'm keeping myself shamed by, or in shame, which is the lowest fucking frequency, by beating myself up constantly when I make a mistake, instead of just like, oh, cool, I made a mistake. That was funny. Let's move on.
Yeah, but before you would react. See how from the start of the show today, you would react because of that's what you're so used to. Now you
Yeah.
just look at it as a learning experience and everything else. Because when you start, when you start looking at certain things in that sense, it kind of changes your perspective because the perspective is what's going to drive you to the next thing, right?
Yeah.
Now,
Oh, I was gonna say, and when we focus on the mistakes that we make, it distorts our vision. And I had a mentor tell me, she was like, Carrie, like, this is wild. It's like we're driving down the road in a car, and a bug hits your windshield, and you're so fucking focused on the bug that you can't see the beautiful view behind it and where we're going. So
that's
are
a good
you
one.
going to turn on your windshield wiper and flick that bitch off your windshield so that we can keep going?
Perfect.
Because it landed.
Yeah.
Shit, I'm doing that.
I mean, you've been guilty of that too.
Yes.
But not looking at all everything else that's going on around you. But now that you reverse the roles, right?
Yeah.
When you reverse it, how is that working out?
I love it today because now I can see the bigger picture. And it's just a habit. It's like when
Yes.
I create new habits, it's just like with working out, like, and all the mindset work, everything just becomes a new habit. I get to look at everything from a different perspective today. That's all, another lens.
Okay. Before we end the show, give me your top habits that you change. Give me, okay, I won't even challenge you that. Just give me three. One that you used to have and one that you do now.
Well, I used to lie to myself all the time to justify, because I wanted to be right. And now I try to be radically honest with myself, and sometimes I need a little assistance, but my
Okay.
focus is always being honest with myself, because if I'm not honest with myself, then I cannot affect any change at all, period. I like to go back and look at choices that I've made. And when I look at the choices that I've made, okay, so let's see what worked and what didn't work from a neutral lens, rather than from self beat up, or from, oh man, you really effed that up. So it really is just those little things have changed my life tremendously.
I mean, because if you look at it from the place you were, what the process you had to go through to the person you are now, you had to go through this stuff because that's
Yeah.
part of catching yourself from breaking that cycle. Because if not, you're going to keep doing that stuff all the way to you're like in your 80s and be all crotchety and stuff like that, right? I mean, you might be old, stuck in your ways all this time and never change it. And you're going to realize I could have done something different. Something could
Yes.
have
100%.
benefited me 100%. I could have been better friends, more growth, more perspective, more insights on life, on a lot of different things. Because if you don't do that, right, you're gonna be what they're gonna find. You're gonna be in your deathbed with nobody to figure out how to help you, and it's gonna
Mhm.
be like, what the frick?
So what two things were important to you that changed the trajectory of your life?
I one of the most recent things would be realizing that you don't have enough time. to be worried about your bullshit and your perspective and letting your ego take over everything. For a guy, you mean for a guy that's in my situation, used to have power, money, this, all, everything else, to put down your ego a couple notches, and you have some of my friends here that know, like, I could be this alpha mother freaking asshole because I've been there. To put that ego down a notch, to be relatable, to be everything else, I get more done and I feel good about myself. But if you look at a lot of the different things now that you have family, you have kids, and you set an example for a lot of things, you start to look at, and then you get a little bit older with your health and everything, you start looking at things that if you've done all kind of bullshit and didn't get you nowhere as a person and your happiness and your purpose and your fulfillment, how can your partner, your relationship, your kids, and everything else have a happy life? It's important for a lot of things for you to go through, because if you didn't go through it and you didn't change, you still be the same person. I am not the same person as, say, back in my heyday, by a long shot. Am I capable of being that person at any given time? But you make the choice now, right? Because like you said, I cannot lie to myself. If you lie to yourself and you make excuses, justifications, and you make reasoning for it, and then you start believing that own lie, where does that direction go? It's only going to get you in the same predicament, the same situation, the same thing. And for me, like I said before, the judge told me before, if I ever see you in my courtroom again, Gordon, you will never see the light of day.
Whew.
So in between, when I had to do my sentence, my federal sentence, even though I didn't have that direction, I didn't have the time, I always had that in my mind. And that's why until this day, right now, I've spoken to the federal probation officer, director, with all the probation officers. I've done things in my life to make my grandmother happy because I couldn't see her when she passed away. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, wow. That's powerful.
Because of that, I always relate to that. Like my mom and my auntie was like, Granny would be proud of you, who you became today, because of, she always believed in me no matter what. Like her death, Carrie, her deathbed, I called her from FCI Lompoc at the time. She goes, my nickname Sonny. She goes, I won't be able to wait for you, Sonny. I say, and then because I used to send her figurines from the ceramic class, all this stuff, right? She goes, I won't be able to wait for you. I'll just stick to what we've been talking about, and I'll see you in the next life. And that hit me. So I had to, it was so bad when she died. My mom, them didn't want to tell me she died because they don't know if I was going to go hurt people.
Oh, wow.
But that's what changed me, because the perspective I had, like, how can I become a good person? This is why I do what I do. And just so happened, I get blessed with kids. I get blessed with my wife. I get blessed with my family. I get everything. I get good friends, small circle, you included. It helps my community of support.
Yeah.
Vice versa.
I was like, man, you're getting me all emotional right now.
I tell you about my miracle Christmas miracle. That's for another thing.
Oh, that's for another day.
Hanging with that one.
And when we talk about honesty too, I think one of the most important things is keeping people around me that are going to be honest with me. I don't need yes people. Like, I need you to call me on my bullshit. If I'm not seeing something and you know how important honesty is for me and you see it, like, I expect you to say something to me, because if you don't and you just like let me walk around like an asshole, like that shows me how much you really care.
And that's real caring.
Yeah.
I mean, 100%. I'll tell you straight up because I don't give a fuck either. But it's when you get friends like that. I just did a Faceless video post and a post about this because that's what's needed. And that's what's missing from a lot of things. Good. All right, guys, welcome. If you're watching this on TikTok, please like and share, comment, share this to somebody that might need, because you need brotherhood, sisterhood, you need boundaries, you need integrity, you need somebody to tell you straight up. Guys, this is Gordon Wat from Boundaries and Brotherhood. Carrie, end the show.
I'm Carrie Pullaro. I'll see you next week.